Hello, this is Mr. Gautam. Once again, I am in front of you with our online lecture series of 10th standard. And friends, today we are going to learn that 1.4, the beautiful poem by William Shakespeare, that is All the World's a Stage. So let's go and learn the poem with poetic devices. Friends, if you observe the poem, you could come to know about that this poem is a part of one of his famous comedy, As You Like It. The poem, which is in form of monologue, the poem is written into blank verse because though it doesn't have the rhyming scheme, but it has a steady rhythm in that lines when you read it. So you feel bits of the 5 rhythms in each line. The poem creates the imaginary in the mind of the reader when he reads it. The most important thing that a reader goes in the stages of life when he reads them, and the important thing about the poem is that which depict the cycle of life, right from childhood up to the second childhood. So according to William Shakespeare, that each person goes into the 7 stages of life. So let's see that what William Shakespeare says about the cycle of life through the poem All the World's a Stage. Friends, let's go to learn this poem line by line. So the first one, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and entrances, and one man in his lifetime plays the many parts. His acts being 7 ages. Here, the beginning of the poem that William Shakespeare clearly mentions that. He makes indirect comparison of this word with a stage of drama or any act. So he says about that all the words a stage. Here he directly compared a stage with words. Okay. He says that all the words are like a stage, and we all the men in the world and all the women in the world, they are merely players. Here the players means actors. So he says about that we are all the men and women like actors on the stage of the world. We direct by the God. Whatever the dialogues are given there, whatever the scenes are given there, whatever the acting given there by the director, the God who is the director, that we enact on the stage of world. So it will say about that, and all the men, we and the women merely players. We are nothing more than the actors in this world. In our hand nothing is there. To born and to die, nothing in our hand. So everything decided by God. So He forces us to enact according to His wish. Okay. He makes us happy. He makes us cry. He makes all kind of the things about it. It is the all this. We are like the puppets in His hand. He controls all the things as a director. Next, William Shakespeare says in the next line that they have their exit and entrances. Really, all the characters all the time cannot be on the stage. According to the need and scene, that the characters come on the stage and they go. Okay. So he told about that. As all the men and women, they are the actors on the stage of the world. And he says about that they have, the God decides their entries and their exits. God decides their entries and exits. Okay, so here that when we born, it is our entry on the stage of the world. Okay, and when we die, we exit it. As the one actor comes on the stage, it is called as his entry. And when he exits, after his delivering the dialogue according to the time, when he goes away from the stage or go backside the stage, that is the exit. In the same way for the every man and woman, this is applicable. Okay. According to the God, what He decides that time we have our entry in this world. And according to the God, when He decides that time we have exit from this world. So it tells us about that they have their exits and entrances. So according to William Shakespeare, each man have the exit and entrances there. And next most important thing he tells us about that, and one man his lifetime, the whole right from the childhood up to the old age. According to the William Shakespeare, right from the one man in his lifetime plays many parts. He plays various roles in his lifetime. Say about that his acts being 7 ages. So that right from the childhood up to the old age, that each person, that can be a man or woman, that they play a role in the form of the 7 ages. So we are directed by the God, and God directs us how to live the childhood, how to be that. And in this way we have to go in the 7 ages. We have to go in the 7 ages. So these are the first 5 lines of the beautiful poem. As I told about that, this is said by Melancholy Jack in As You Like It in 2nd act scene 7. When he comes on the stage, he expresses his view about. Let's turn toward the poetic devices of these first 5 lines. As I told about that poem, which is composed in the blank verse, so there are no rhyming words. No, just like the stage, players, entrances, parts, and edges. So no word rhyme with each other. No word. Okay. So it is we can say that there is no rhyming scheme for the poem, but we feel a steady 5 bits of rhythm in each line. Let's turn toward the figures of speech in the present lines. Here the first line will itself, all the words are stage. Here is a direct comparison of word with the stage. Direct comparison of the word with the stage. It is not said the word like a stage. Okay, it is said like the words are stage. So here is a figure of speech occurs that is in the form of metaphor. The figure of speech in first line, metaphor. Second, all the men and women are merely players. So here all the men and women are indirectly, again once more, indirectly compared with the actors. All the men and women are indirectly compared with the actors. In the second line also figure of speech occurs in the form of metaphor. If we go for the third line, this is they have their exits and their entrances. Here you can see that in both the places that 2 opposite words are used there. Now, exit and entrances. Exits and entrances. So we can consider the figure of speech in the third line, that is antithesis. The figure of speech in the third line is that antithesis. And one man in his lifetime plays many parts. His acts are being in 7 ages. So according to William Shakespeare, that every person goes in the first stage of the life, that is in the form of infant. At first, the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arm. Here, the first stage of life, he describes and tells about that. The first stage of life, according to William Shakespeare, is that infant, the newborn baby, who is completely dependent on someone else. Here, the mewling and puking in the nurse's arm. So, mewling means to cry weakly, and puking means to vomit. Okay. So, here in the first stage of life, the man, which is in the form of the infant, is completely dependent on somebody else. Where the baby cries desperately and it's puking in the nurse's arm. The nurse's arm, it shows that the child is completely dependent on somebody else. Okay. So this is a first stage of life. Here is talks about that. Second, he says that then the whining schoolboy. The second stage of the life, as he said about that, each person goes to the 7 ages. So the first one was infant, and the second one was that when the baby grows 3 to 4 years, then it starts to go in the school. Okay, so it describes it beautifully about that. then the whining schoolboy, whining means to complain into crying voice. When a child becomes able to go in the school, so at the age of 3 to 4, the parents try to send him in the school. So at that time, when the parents force the child to go in the school, it is a beautiful condition of that child is described there. Then the whining schoolboy, that a schoolboy who complains in a kind voice with his satchel here school bag. The child goes in the school with his satchel, but the manner to go to the school is like that, with his satchel and shining morning face. Now, early in the morning, when that morning is very fresh, about that time, a parent forces the child to go in the school. The child picks up his satchel, the schoolboy, and there is a bright shining morning is there. But the child is hesitating, creeping like a snail. He doesn't go with much enthusiasm. He doesn't go with great joy. He goes like he creeps, goes very slowly. He creeps like a snail, unwillingly to go school. So it is the act of the child. It is beginning only to say about that the schoolboy, whining schoolboy. The boy is described like a whining, who always complain not to go to the school. Okay. So let's talk about that, that there is a bright morning face, but the child doesn't have the enthusiasm or the happiness or the joy to go to the school. So he goes, he creeps like a snail. Very slowly he tries to go at the school because parents force him. And how he is there? Unwillingly to school. He doesn't have any will or wish to go to the school. So this is the second stage where that every person goes through that. Then according to William Shakespeare, when the person comes to the teenage, and after the teenage, then he said about that, and then the lover. The person enters into the third ages of life according to him. No doubt William Shakespeare's love used to be always the central theme of all his dramas. It can be a tragedy or comedy. A drama could finish without a love story. At least one plot used to be there of love story there. So he talks about that. According to him, that each person goes at the third stage of life, that is as a lover. Here is next stage about that, sighing like a furnace. What is the condition of that one? The lover sighed like a furnace with an awful ballad made to his mistress. So according to William Shakespeare, the lover who compress all the sad feelings in his mind like a furnace. Now, the furnace like all kind of that, just like the furnace is a container which contains the melted metal into it. So we can come to know the temperature of that metals. So his feelings are like all the sad feelings he compressed in his heart, sighed like a furnace with woeful ballads. Which means he made a poem, a sad song on his mistress' eyebrows. So friends, let's go for the poetic devices in these lines. As I told in the first, some lines as there is no rhyming scheme, as it is the poem written into blank verse, but we can see there a steady rhythm in each line. There you could notice the 5 beats of music in each line. So as we talk about that, let's turn toward the figures of speech. If we talk about mewling and puking in the nurse arm, so that mewling is a word which denotes to the sound. Mewling is a word which denotes to the sound. So in this line, mewling and puking in the nurse arm, figure of speech occurs in a form of onomatopoeia. The figure of speech is there in the second line, onomatopoeia. If you go for there, then the whining schoolboy with his satchel, okay, complaining in a crying voice. In the same way it is that whining also is a word which denotes to the sound. Whining is a word which denotes to the sound. we can consider in this line also the figure of speech. The figure of speech in this line is that onomatopoeia. If we go for the next line, and shining morning face, creeping like snail. If I say about this one, here a schoolboy is directly compared by using the word to make a comparison. Poet uses the word like. So the schoolboy creeps like a snail. So there is a direct comparison between the schoolboy and snail. So and based on the quality of like the creeping. Okay. So here the figure of speech occurs simile. So friends, if you notice the next line right from here, and then the lover. Here, look at here, there is a repetition of the consonant sound. There should not be a vowel sound. Okay, so there is a repetition of consonant sound, the, as in the same next, if you continue for the same line, sighing like furnace with woeful ballad. Okay, here also verb which is used as a consonant sound. Okay, repetition of this verb consonant sound. Here the consonant sound and here verb consonant sound. So we can consider the figure of speech alliteration. If you say about next one, that sign like a furnace, one is directly compared by using like with the furnace. So lover is directly compared with the furnace using the like. Okay, so here is figure of speech simile.